Cardinal Wilton D. Gregory, a man of great faith, kind and compassionate, a builder of trust and just a true gentleman. This week in Black History. Wilton Daniel Gregory was born in Chicago, Illinois. He was born to Wilton Gregory, a computer technician, and Ethel Duncan Gregory, a singer who also worked as a hospital attendant. He and his two sisters, Claudia and Elaine, were raised in a family that had a deep connection to God from a very early age. We were raised to know our potential as human beings was unlimited as long as we took God with us on our journey. When his parents divorced, he and his sisters were raised by his mother and grandmother. In 1958, while attending St. Carthage Grammar School, Wilton Gregory knew that he wanted to become a priest, even though he was not Catholic at the time. In 1959, he was baptized, received his first communion, and later that year was confirmed. After graduating from St. Carthage in 1961, he attended Quigley Preparatory Seminary South, Niles College in Chicago, and St. Mary of Lake Seminary in Magdalen. At the age of 25, he was ordained to the priesthood. After his ordination, he completed a doctorate in liturgy at the Pontifical Liturgical Institute in Rome. Father Gregory served as pastor in Illinois at Our Lady of Perpetual Help and at Mary's Seat of Wisdom Parish. He also taught at St. Mary of the Lake Seminary. From 1998 to 2001, Bishop Gregory served as Vice President of the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. From 2001 to 2004, Bishop Gregory served as the President of the conference, making him the first African American to serve as President or to head any Episcopal conference. During his presidency, the American bishops issued the Charter for the Protection of Children and Young People in response to the Roman Catholic sex abuse cases. Gregory was offended by the cover-up scandal and the way the Catholic Church handled the entirety of the abuse cases. A fellow priest is quoted as saying to NPR, he was offended. He became Catholic as a young man and felt this was a horrific abuse of power and trust. And so when others were saying, don't go so far, don't go so fast, he simply insisted that there was no place in the church for people who abused children, that clergy alone could not judge these cases. In 2002, in recognition of his handling of the sex abuse scandal, he was chosen as Times Person of the Week. In 2004, Pope John Paul II named Bishop Gregory the Archbishop of Atlanta, making him the third African American Archbishop in the United States. In 2014, Archbishop Gregory spoke out against the Georgia Safe Carry Protection Act, also known as Guns Everywhere Law. The law permits licensed gun owners to carry guns into many public and private places, including churches, school property, bars, nightclubs, libraries, and some government buildings. Archbishop Gregory stated that guns would not be allowed in Roman Catholic churches in Georgia, except for those military and civil service personnel who are required to have them. He stated that carrying guns in churches places vulnerable individuals such as children, those who are disabled, and the elderly at risk. He said it's against Jesus' teachings of peace and wrote, rather than make guns more available as a solution, we need leaders in government and society who will speak against violence in all aspects of life and who teach ways of reconciliation and peace and who make peace, not vengeance, our goal. In 2018, a group of Catholics started a petition urging Archbishop Gregory to remove pro-LGBT Monsignor Harry Gratz of the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Atlanta from his position as spiritual advisor to victims of sexual abuse. Archbishop Gregory declined to do so, saying, Monsignor Gratz is following the admonition of Pope Francis to accompany people on the periphery of society. His priestly heart is not closed to those who find themselves misunderstood or rejected. When asked by a transgender person about whether there was a place for them in the church, Archbishop Gregory responded by saying, You belong to the heart of this church, and there is nothing that you may do, may say, that will ever rip you from the heart of this church. On April 4th, 2019, Pope Francis named Archbishop Gregory the Archbishop of Washington. At this time, the Archdiocese was comprised of 139 parishes in the District of Columbia and the Maryland counties of Calvert, Charles, Montgomery, Prince George's, and St. Mary's. During Bishop Gregory's installation as Washington's Archbishop, he offered some words of encouragement towards the Catholic community. We stand at a defining moment for this local faith community, our hearts filled with hope. The history of this great Washington diocese is a gift to the Church of the United States. Our recent sorrow and shame don't define us. They serve to chasten and strengthen us to face tomorrow. On November 28, 2020, Pope Francis made Archbishop Gregory a cardinal priest with the Church of the Immaculata Concepción de María a Grota Rosa. When then President Trump visited the St. John Paul II National Shrine in Washington on the 2nd of June 2020 to promote an executive order on religious freedom, one day after tear gas and rubber pellets were used to clear the area around St. John's Episcopal Church for a photo op, Cardinal Gregory condemned the visit, saying, I find it baffling and reprehensible that any Catholic facility would allow itself to be so egregiously abused and manipulated in a fashion that violates our religious principles, which call us to defend the rights of all people, even those with whom we might disagree. He went on to say Saint Pope John Paul II was an ardent defender of the rights and dignity of human beings. His legacy bears vivid witness to that truth. He certainly would not condone the use of tear gas and other deterrents to silence, scatter, or intimidate them for a photo opportunity in front of a place of worship and peace. On January 19, 2020, Cardinal Wilton D. Gregory offered the invocation at a pre-inauguration memorial service to honor and remember the more than 400,000 Americans who had succumbed to COVID-19. In his invocation at the memorial service attended by President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, he said, "We turn to the Lord of all to receive these our sisters and brothers into eternal peace and to comfort all of those who grieve the loss of a loved one. Let us with one heart commend those who have died from this virus and all of their loved ones to the providential care of the one who is the ultimate source of peace, unity, and accord." Cardinal Wilton Daniel Gregory, this week in Black History.